Hi, this is Randy. Welcome to my channel. Glad to have you here today. God's good. I hope everything's fine with you and your family. If you have a chance, if you would please hit the bottom right hand corner and hit subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. That will help me get this video pushed out to other people. You have to get to 1,000 subscribers before they'll offer it to people. You're kind of on your own. So I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. Now let's get into what we're going to talk about today, all right? Women are like onions. They have many layers. All right, we're going to talk about women today and about women and what they should be, how they should be treated, and what we should do for our wives and for women. We're going to talk about first why women pull away. For a woman to pull away, she has to feel taken advantage of, or be hurt, or be afraid, or be abused. And one way is if a man cheats on his wife. All right, that is a total killer to a woman, and it is to a man too if a woman cheats on him. But we're talking about women today, and why women pull away. These things will make a woman pull away from a man because a man's not treating her the way he should. When women pull away, they come back at a point in time if they want to get things straightened out, but they want to rebuild and reconnect and start from scratch and work everything over again. Men are not like that. They just want to pick up where they're left off at. But women can't do that. I mean, if you hurt a woman mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, all right, you're going to have to rebuild trust with her, and you're going to have to show her love, and you're going to have to ask for forgiveness, and you should treat your wife. The Bible says when you become one flesh, when you get married, you're one flesh. If your wife loses her mother or father and she's crushed, you ought to be crying with her, or be holding on to her and be her support and understand what she's going through. If she loses her job by a layoff or whatever means, and she's hurt, you need to put your arm around her and tell her you love her. You're there to support her. Let her know, you'll get another job or whatever you need to talk about, whatever situation it is. You need to be a support to your wife. You're the two of you are one flesh, all right? So when women pull away, when they come back, they want to rebuild and they want to reconnect and start anew. But unfortunately, men don't think like women. Men need to remember women are like onions. They have many layers. They're not easily understood, and men are just more simple on most things than women are. And that doesn't mean that either one of them's bad. I'm just telling you like it is. God made us different. He made Adam first, then he made woman to be his helpmate. All right, so they weren't made at the same time, and they're not made alike. All right, women need to remember, don't think before you act. Women remember that, but men don't. Men don't think before they act. Sometimes they do stuff without ever thinking, and your wife will say, "Why did you do that? How stupid can you be?" "I wasn't thinking." They don't think before they act. Most women do. Now, maybe some don't, but the vast majority of women think things through. Men don't. When they get upset about something or whatever, something goes wrong, they don't think. Some guys get mad and they don't think straight. So men and women don't think alike, nor should they, because God made them two separate creatures. If a man or a woman cheats on his spouse, they need to get outside help outside the home. Their marriage is really fractured, and you need to get outside help and get a third party involved. Most of the time, like your pastor. If you're Christians, you go to church, you get your pastor to mediate and get in between, and if he feels it's beyond his scope, then he'll refer you to a professional counselor or a professional psychologist or somebody like that to help you if they can't help you. Pastors are very good at counseling if they've had training. All right, I took a 2-year course when I was a pastor on just counseling. It was a 2-year course on counseling. Plus, I learned a lot from my father, who was a pastor, and my mother. And you take that all in there. I didn't start out completely blind. And I've counseled a lot of couples and seen a lot of things. And so you'd be surprised what some things that will cause marriage to be fractured. One time, I'll just tell you this real quick. I'm not telling you anything I did incompetence. It was years and years ago. One of the people ain't even here no more. And so no one, and it's not a big deal. But when I sit down and counsel with them, by the second session, I finally found out what was wrong. She finally spoke up and said, I couldn't hardly get her to say 10 words. And she said she cut the grass and weed eat all the time, and he never does it. And he comes home from work, and he never does it. And that's why she backed off, and why she was refusing to cook, and why she was refusing to do the laundry, and why they were bickering and fighting all the time. That boiled down to, I said, well, did you ask him? I asked him once and told him I needed help with the yard, and he wouldn't help me. So after that, their marriage just went bomb, 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 until he got to the point where he was thinking about walking for a while and try to find out what the problem, the whole problem was that. So you'd be surprised what it takes to fracture a marriage. Sometimes it's not big things. People make things that are small big in their mind, but there ought to be a way to work around stuff like that, especially when you've been married quite a few years. Men need to watch their wife and see how she feels and how she does things, and try not to hurt her feelings and make her feel afraid of you. Women should not live in fear. Women should not live in fear. When they see their husband pull in the driveway, they shouldn't feel in fear. I'm not going to name this actor. He's deceased. It's out there. Everybody knows it. It's well exposed all over the place where you can read it. But his sons, when he pulled in the driveway, his sons would run to their rooms and lock their doors and hide, because when he came in, he was never in a good mood, and he beat his kids. And the wife tried to intervene several times. He shoved her. He was very abusive. A man shouldn't do that. You should never abuse your children and your wife. You ain't much of a man if you do. You need to talk to them if you got a problem with them. Sit them down. Talk to them. Take care of it. One-on-one. All right? And I'll give you a real quick example. When I first started in the car business, I worked for a manager, and we had 12 salespeople. If one guy wasn't putting the keys back all the time, all right, we had a meeting, and he would talk for an hour and cuss us out about how the keys should be hung up and what we should do when we park a car and all that, when there was one man in the room that wasn't doing his job. When they fired him, put me in charge, first meeting I told them, we're never going to do that again. I got a problem with one of you guys, I'm going to bring you in and talk to you. I ain't going to whip a dozen guys when one guy's the problem. That's idiotic. Plus, there's no 1 hour meetings. We're not going to have 1 hour meeting to 1 to 1.5 hours twice a week, and another meeting for about an hour. We'll have one meeting a week, 15 minutes or less. If I got a problem with you guys, I'll take you in the office and do it one-on-one. We're not going to do this in here. All right? And when you ought to do the same thing with your wife. You don't beat up the whole family. If one person keeps leaving the back door open, then you need to deal with that kid that's leaving the back door open. Don't drag the other 3 kids in and browbeat them when they're not leaving the door open. Sometimes men just go overboard with things. Or a woman can too, but we're talking about women and how to treat them. If a man connects with his wife and he can live with her without beating her up and without putting hands on her, then that's the way we should live. If you can't live with a woman without beating her and physically hurting her, then she needs to leave, or you need to leave. You need to get away from each other. You need to seek professional help. You got a real problem. A man should not beat on a woman. A man should not have his wife be in fear all the time because you're bigger, you're stronger, and you intimidate her. If you love your wife, the Bible says, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, the two shall be one. You're bound together. You're one flesh. If that's really true, would you beat yourself up? Would you shove yourself through the wall? All right? No, you wouldn't. So don't do it to your wife. Don't be a wife beater. All right? That's one of the lowest people you can be, is beat your wife and children and do stuff like that. God don't want you abusing people, especially your family. Don't hurt your wife. Treat the wife right. Sure, there are women that are abusers. I've ran into them. There's probably 9 men or 8 men for every woman abuser, maybe 10 or 12 men for every abuser. But there are some women that are abusers that throw dishes, or they'll come up behind and hit their husband in the head or whatever. I've seen them. It does happen, all right? But if you guys can't live together without being physical and hurting each other, then you need to part company and get professional help, especially if you profess to be Christians. Get your pastor involved, and like I said, if it's beyond his scope, he can counsel you so far, then he can refer you to somebody. But while you're doing that, you need to be away from each other so you don't hurt each other. You're going to wind up in jail. Somebody's going to wind up getting a broken arm or something, or maybe worse, God forbid, somebody get killed. You cannot abuse your wife and your family. Men are not complicated, but women are. Men are much more simple to understand than women. All right, so a lot of us guys, we get together and you're eating wings and watching a football game and talking, and when a guy goes, "Oh God, I can't believe that," I mean, we know what he's saying. We know what's going on. Women don't think like men, and men don't think like women. But women can read men usually better than a man can read a woman. Women are touch and feel. They like you to put your arm around them, tell them you love them, sit down, kiss them on their cheek, let her put a chick flick on, get popcorn, and eat and watch it. Eat popcorn with your wife, hold your arm around her, tell her you love her. When it gets to the part where the guy and girl reconciles and everything's wonderful, you can do this. You can. Well, she'll love that. Just get in and watch a chick flick with her, because women are different than men. Now, my wife likes to watch KC Chiefs with me, and she likes the Cardinals. She goes to Cardinals games with me, and we both follow the Chiefs and Cardinals. We have that in common. We get along great about it, but I realize now and then she's going to have to watch a war picture. Now and then I'm going to have to watch a chick flick. But that's the way we grow together, and I'm with my wife. That means more to me being with her and holding her and than the movie does. But some of the movies are pretty good. I mean, you know how it is. Women's got their own life channel they watch, especially around Christmas time. My God, 8 dozen Christmas movies or more. Okay, ladies, your husband is not touch and feel like you, but he's visual. Why do you think that probably almost 90% or more of people that watch pornography are men? Because men are visual, women aren't. They're more touch and feel, and they work on the emotions. Men don't. They aren't that complicated. All right. Why do you think that almost all, not all, but almost all, the TV commercials where they're selling cars and trucks and all that, they put a woman on there scantily dressed or well endowed? Because men are visual. All right, it catches their attention. Men are lookers. Women are not visual. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they see a handsome man, I guess they think he's a handsome man. My wife about melts when she sees Tom Selleck and a couple other guys, and and they look good to her, and she's, oh, he's so handsome and all that. And I understand it's not a problem. But men are visual. Women aren't. Men are not that complicated when it comes to things, but that's why when they're trying to sell things on TV and sell product, they always put a pretty woman on there. One that pops in my head, and it's not recently, but I guess would help take the cap off, wouldn't it? One that I remember from years ago, Pepsi they were way down below Coke, and they wanted to get back up there, and they had Cindy Crawford do their commercial. Out in the middle of a desert, and in an old gas station, walks up to a pop machine and selects her pop and all that. And she was wearing shorty shorts and a tie top, I call it, a shirt you put around tying a knot or whatever you call it. And that commercial just took off. Men loved it. I worked in a factory at that time, and men talked about that all the time, how beautiful she was and this and that. Whether it made the guys at work drink Pepsi, that I don't remember. But that's why, because men are visual. All right, men are visual. Ladies are not. All right, ladies, love your husband. But what your husband wants, men want this morning, they want to be respected. More than anything, you can stroke his ego if you tell him that you love him and if you respect him and treat him with respect. Men want respect. Women want touch and feel and told they're loved. Men want respect. If they aren't respected by their family, their children, and their wife, they're going to be a big disappointment and a real problem. They want respect. Men and women don't want the same thing. Men are pretty simple. They're not as complicated as women. That doesn't mean women's bad, but like I said, women are like onions. There are many layers. Men aren't. They're not hard to read. You can read a man pretty good. So you need to pay attention and realize that he wants respect. And if you disrespect him, you're going to have a problem, because men don't like that. They don't like to be. And I'll tell you one that'll give you a real quick example. There was 4 or 5 couples sitting around talking at a church dinner. After church, there was no Sunday night service. We were all going to eat a big dinner and then go home. Everybody was having fun. There's desserts and there's wonderful food. We were having a good time in fellowship. A lot of people. Dining hall was full. This one guy was telling a story about how much he enjoyed his vacation 5 years or 6 years ago. It was several years ago, wasn't recent. And he said that he just loved it so much. He goes, and it wasn't real hot. We were down by the lake and it was early June. And his wife goes, no, it wasn't. It was July. And he said, well, I thought it was in June. No, it wasn't in June. It was in July. I can't believe you don't remember that. And he said, well, it wasn't. It was cool. And I thought it was June. And we tried to go on with the story. And he said another line like, well, I tell you what, when I got that tackle out of the box and everything, and she says, it wasn't June, it was July. And she went on. Now, he looked at her and gave her a look. She didn't pick up on it. And all through for the next 5 minutes, she kept interjecting. We didn't take the trip in June, we took it in July. All right? Now, let me tell you something. What difference does it make? That don't change the story about the fish he caught, the tackle he took down there, the cooler and what it had in it, what you guys shared around the bonfire that night, and how you cooked your meal. This is the important thrust of the conversation, not what month it was. He just said it wasn't real hot out, and we lit a fire that night because we were going to cook, and we were right by the water. But she had to ride that cobby horse over and over and over till you could tell he was upset, And so it doesn't matter. That didn't matter worth nothing. She was fighting a battle she didn't have to fight. If my wife said something to me, if I was telling everybody and she said it was July instead of June, I'd say, okay, well, maybe I remembered wrong, but it was summertime, and then I go on with my story, all right? But she couldn't let it go. So please don't try to make your husband look like an idiot or prove a point that don't amount to a hill of beans. What difference does it make if you took your vacation in June or July? It was 5 years ago. Nobody sitting at the table listening to a story cares whether it's June or July. He just said, we went down there in June. He wasn't trying to start a big argument, but she wouldn't let it go. And when they left, you could tell they were very unhappy. When they're outside, you could see them talking to each other as they walked to their vehicle, and they weren't happy. And so over something silly like that, sometimes it don't take much to set things off. So be a peacemaker. Don't be silly. Let me give you a verse here. In 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 2, I believe I took this out of NIV. I got 7 or 8 different Bibles. I realize people have them on the computer. I do too, but I always keep 7 or 8 Bibles stacked there. I've had them for years. I've got my father's Bible, my mother's Bible I gave to my daughter, my oldest daughter, because she loved her grandma so much. But I got all sorts of Bibles. So anyway, treat older women as mothers and younger women as sisters with absolute purity. Men should treat women with respect. Women in the church need to be respected and protected by men. And men don't need to be abusing women. While we're on the subject, men should not, let me repeat, men should not sexually harass women on the job and send appropriate things on the telephone or say things to them face to face that isn't right. A woman is entitled to make a living without that being done to her. And any man that does that needs to stop it immediately, and he needs to seek help from his pastor and ask his pastor to pray with him, because he is not thinking right. He's not thinking, he's stinking. I'll tell you that right now. Should not treat women. It says right here, treat older women as mothers and treat younger women as sisters with absolute purity. Be good to all the women in the church house, and be good with all the women in your home. I'll tell you what, I got I got 2 daughters and 1 son. I got, man, I don't know, I got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I got 9 or 10 granddaughters, and I got 6 grandsons. So I have more granddaughters than I have grandsons, and I want that. And 2 of them are in JORTC and doing great. And I'll tell you what, those girls are smart, they're intelligent, and they're going to make something in life. And that's why I tell them that all the time. Their grandmother does too. My wife tells them all the time, because we want them to know how proud we are of them, how good they're doing. I sure don't want anybody abusing my granddaughters. And if they got married in 2 or 3 years, one of them's already graduates high school in 3 weeks. If one of them had a man abuse them, he would have a problem with not only her dad, but he'd have a problem with me too. So don't abuse women. Be kind to them. Bible says, be you kind to another. Treat older women as mothers and younger women as sisters with absolute purity. Be pure, be good, be right to women. Treat them right. Men should protect women, not abuse them. If you're in an abusive relationship right now, you need to seek help and do it right away. And you should not be mentally and physically abused. Remember, women are like onions. They have many layers. Men are a little bit less complicated than women, but women are wonderful. God built them for a purpose, and he built them to be a helpmate to their husband. And that doesn't mean that he didn't put them under us to step on them with our feet or to be trodden on. But a man's the head of the home, and she's the crown that goes on the top. And as a lot of women says, I'm the neck that turns the head, whatever. But your wife should be treated with respect and not abused. And you shouldn't put up with abuse. All right? I hope you got something out of this. I don't like talking about stuff like this, but it does go on. Just because people are Christians and go to church doesn't mean that a man can't be an abuser, and he shouldn't be that way. He should be kind to his family. You can get a lot more done by sitting down and talking like I'm talking than screaming and throwing things and hurting people. Women do not need to be abused. They need to be treated with respect and with love, like I just read in Timothy. Respect them, love them, and do it the way God said. I want to thank you for your time. This time till next time, Old Rev May's asking you to hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, help me get this pushed out. I'd appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. See you the next time on the channel.